Eoin Morgan, Shaun, was the first to admit nothing went wrong, or nothing went right, rather, for his side, both with bat and ball. But the question when asked to him about Pat Cummins as coming on as the fifth bowler, he said, yes, it was a mistake. We need to bring our big boys early on next time.
Yeah, you see, that's why sometimes you think of game plans that you can possibly implement as a team, and a management is to try and get the best out of your team. So like Bombay, they want to try and hold Bumrah for as long as possible and then introduce him. Chahar, you want to introduce him. I know we used to think about Malinga, for example. How far back can we hold him? Can we get him onto new batters at the crease? Can we keep him for more overs at the back end? And they would have probably thought, with a swinging ball, maybe he's got that ability just to get the ball to shape. We can maybe get him into the game, see if we can get that movement, and maybe he can have an impact. But I think always the worrying thing is that if things don't go according to plan, particularly in those first few deliveries, have you got the experience to bounce back? And have you got the mentality that you've been there before and that you can adjust? And I think that's what a Cummins does. That's what your experienced campaigners have got. That's why they often don't get themselves into trouble, because they know how to get themselves out of it before it becomes a big mess. And unfortunately tonight, Mavi was put on the back foot and didn't have the answers. His lines that he was hitting and the lengths he was hitting weren't making it that difficult for Prithvi. I mean, he's confident and he just whacks through the line, but it was really hittable deliveries. It wasn't like Prithvi had to try and risk anything in order to get many of those boundaries. And therein lies the challenge. You as a guy in the front in the first 6 overs, you really want to make them make the play. Give them nothing for free. Make them take the risks, and then you've got a better chance.
For an astute captain like Eoin Morgan, he just, at that point, he seemed to be almost shell-shocked, just like we were in admiration of Prithvi Shaw's hitting. One was, of course, Cummins coming in early and letting him know that he's around. Even someone like Andre Russell, 18 and 20 are not going to happen in this sort of a run chase. Give him something early, let him bowl a heavy ball, try something different.
Exactly what we were saying at the start. They had to make the running. They didn't make the running. They didn't throw their best bowlers. They had to know that if it was a 20-over game, they're never going to win it. They need to take wickets up front. I just do not understand how they stuck to a pattern. And okay, now Mavi's gone for 25. Okay, over one's over. You still have a chance to change. You still have a chance to send Pat Cummins. Okay, you want to prefer the other end, bring him in on the third over. But you still had a chance to change plans and saying that, this is getting out of hand very fast. So my problem is sticking to your bowling list that you had decided on at the start of the game. After that 25 has happened, I somewhere what's happening out there is, I think Eoin Morgan's a great captain. I think Brendan coaches like he played the game, very aggressive brand of cricket. But I think somewhere the problem with KKR right now for me is, I think they're too similar, and therefore you need a dressing room or you need a coaching staff where you have different types of personalities, because then what happens is you challenge each other's decisions and you get better. I think they're too much in sync. They're not challenging each other enough. They're not saying, I disagree with you. Only when you say things like that discussions emerge and you say that, okay, let's try this, let's try something different. I mean, I remember a famous time in KKR's, in that 2014 season where lots of discussions were happening about what's happening. Gautam Gambhir is not getting runs. And then at that point, it was decided that Robin Uthappa has to open. And it happened because people disagreed with each other. The captain and coach disagreed. They discussed it. Something new came out of it. And I feel somewhere perhaps in too much agreement also you have issues, because you don't have enough ideas. New ideas are not coming out because there's not enough discussion. Everyone's saying, okay, I agree with what you're doing. I just had one more thing to say, and that's, we're seeing some scenes at the end of the match, and it's wonderful to see the players together because, they spend time together, they chat. It's good, you get together and at the end of the day, the game's over and all that. But I can't help thinking, and I'm being very honest with you, I can't help thinking it should just hurt a little more for Kolkata. Not because they've lost, because, winning and losing happens all the time in cricket. The way they lost, it should hurt a little more. Because if it doesn't hurt that little bit more, it's very difficult to come later and make a difference. And I think for whatever reason it is, they are taking it a bit too calmly for my liking. And I say this as somebody who's seen teams up front and up close. And I believe that this is a stinging loss. This is not a one-run heartbreaker, which you say, the game was the winner. This was a slap in the face.